Constitution. So I'm headed down the open road unknown, and we find what we're made of through the open door. Is it fear you're afraid of? What are you waiting for? Love alone is worth the fight.
Jan, RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. That song, actually, I've never heard it before, nor ever heard of the band. It was called, the band is Switchfoot, and the song is called In Love Alone is Worth the Fight. In Love Alone is Worth the Fight. Kind of a long title, but very interesting song. So anyway, took a little snippet of it, little part that I enjoyed, and we're starting off this show with it. I guess I'm calling this show Our Two Paths. This is something that I've been dealing with myself. This is something that affects me dearly. This is something that has been a question that I've had for years. I kind of think I know the answer, but frankly, I'm throwing this out there as a possibility to things, okay? Now, I want to say this, as a spoiler alert, right off the bat, and I truly mean this, if you are someone that's on the fence right now with a manifestation and any sort of possibility that it's anything else is too much to bear, or is something that you shouldn't hear right now, stop the video. This one's not for you, okay? This one's for everyone else that has done law of attraction for years and years maybe. You've manifested things, and you've had times where you did everything the same and somehow didn't manifest. Now, I'd say most of us that have been at any sort of practice with this probably find our percentage to be well over 50%. In fact, I don't know, 80, 90, I don't know. It's a pretty high percentage. But I will also say that there have been times where I haven't been able to manifest what I wanted. And it really begs the question. A lot of people, I think, kind of get out there and they're like, well, it must not be the law of attraction. Law of attraction doesn't work. These principles must not work. If something works 80% of the time, I believe it works. So then the question I follow up with is, why do I not always 100% of the time get it? I do think if we pushed really hard, I do think this, one, with great amounts of time and possible frustration and maybe even a little pain, just emotional, we probably could get there. But I believe there's two paths that we all walk here on this planet. I think regardless of where we're at in our spiritual evolution or how conscious we are of our spiritual evolution, there is a level of our lives that has to do with evolving as souls. We're here for a reason. Whether you believe in multiple lives, past lives, whatever, or one life only, if you believe in one life only, there's got to be something to why we ended up here this one time. If you're like me, you believe that we do this lots of times, the reason's because we're trying to experience many different avenues, many different ways, many different possibilities. We're trying to fully understand the concept of life. That's why they have that concept of old soul and new soul, right? An old soul is just basically someone that's done this a bunch of times, seems oddly comfortable with it, and seems to also not get bogged down in some of the minutia that is our daily lives, some of the little minor things, the dramas, if you will. So again, bring back to the point of, I think there's two paths. To me, there's one that's very, very, very much a spiritual path, our reason for being here. What we're meant to take away from this experience, what we're hoping to impart upon our soul that carries with us either into infinitum, ad infinitum, I guess, into infinity, or that we carry into our next manifestation, our next life, and try to use that to help fine-tune ourselves, whatever the case may be. But what I've found is I think there are times, well, the other path, I guess, just to be, say it right now, is the physical path, the manifesting, the physical, the I am here, a part of this world, I'm not in this world, I'm not of this world, I'm in this world, I think is one of the spiritual coinage phrases, anyway, if you will, that have been thrown about. I feel to a degree of that because especially here in the United States, I think I've got a decent audience right now that's outside of the United States, but here in the United States, we've got some really, really crazy stuff going on politically, going on with our government. There's just weird posturing. And if you follow the news, which I don't recommend you listen to the news at all. But if you follow the news, boy, we're like, inches away from doom every single day. So part why I don't listen. 2, there are powers that be that are trying to really steer us back into a direction that's been taken from them. So I think that's a future show. Probably going to get into some of that stuff eventually, just because I can't resist talking about it. But again, physical path, spiritual path. I think there's times when we're trying to manifest something that if we got would end up being a mistake. Is that your issue? I don't know. Again, letting go technique, amazing. I've had awesome success with the letting go technique. I'm using it again because, it's like if it worked to get to point B and something cool happened, and then I turn around and start doing the same thing I was doing prior, it kind of can push people away, right? So kind of let it go, let it happen, and it still could. Who knows? You never know what is going to play out when you get into these scenarios where it seems like it's taken a long time, where it seems like who knows what's going on, where it seems like it should work and should be happening. Maybe it's just a timing thing. I don't know. There's all sorts of things we can say to ourselves, but ultimately one of those things needs to be, maybe the answer is no. Maybe this is not the best thing for me. Maybe if I got this, one example I was using when I was thinking about this concept, if I were to suddenly be given, say, $50 million, someone walked up to me and said, Dan, here's $50 million, free and clear, no taxes. Let's just make it easy for the sake of argument. $50 million, boom, done. 50 million US, that's like the equivalent to probably five pounds in England or something. I don't know what the dollar, is it dollars in Australia? It's probably like $10 down there, our 50 million, because our economy is so freaking weird right now. But that all being said, if someone handed me, or if I won the lottery and got $50 million, that would alter decisions I make about my life. I think part of my life is meant to share this spiritual junk that I know. This law of attraction stuff, this manifesting, this spiritual evolution, this what's going on with the inner me that's affecting the outer me. I've been involved in this my whole life. If you were to hand me $50 million, I don't know, I might look at this whole thing differently. Who knows? Maybe I'd focus more on YouTube, and then I wouldn't be doing the other stuff. But it would affect choices I make. And because there's that level of hunger, and there's that level of I'm manifesting this new reality, this new life, that hunger is what keeps me going in the direction that will gain me success. Another example, when I got into radio, I was working at little 1,000-watt stations with seriously just about anybody with a halfway decent voice and knows how to push buttons and turn knobs could probably land. They paid minimum wage. It was, you didn't do it because you wanted to get rich. You did it because you absolutely loved being a DJ and doing radio. I had a couple people that were significant. Like one of the guys in particular was big in the business and used to be a major DJ. Then had made up some money, bought a few of the smaller 1,000-watt radio stations. That's how I got to know him, because he bought a couple of the stations I was working for. And he, let me keep working and even let me work at his small FM station. But the one thing he told me, and he demonstrated it, is he didn't see that I had anything that I was bringing to the table. He didn't really see anything more than a board op, a dude to do NASCAR races. So when I told him I got a job in the station in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, it was 103.5 WIMZ. I still say it like I was in radio. Knoxville's classic rock, 103.5 WIMZ. I'll never forget that. IMZ. And I told him, I was going to IMZ. And he goes, what, the AM? And I was like, no, the FM. And he goes, what? And he was dumbfounded. He didn't believe I was capable of doing it. So again, it's one of those things. Keep your focus, keep going. If it's part of your life, you'll get there. You will manifest it. Just because everyone tells you no, it doesn't matter. You believe in your heart. If you believe it in your heart, and this is still something that I think is very important, not fear. You got to really strip that all away. And I'll tell you, for a lot of beginners, you're going to have a really hard time discerning the difference. And it's not that you can't. It's just very difficult to do so because you've got so much fear and so many other little things that need to kind of be released and let go. But when you get a lot of that under control, it's ultimately like, yes, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I feel in my heart. And whatever's right and meant to be will be. And I think that's really the important point to take away from this show. If it's meant to be, it will be. But I will tell you, there will be times where you will not manifest what you are trying to manifest. It will be the minority of times. It will be rare. But there will be times that happens. And I will say this, returning to previous jobs, definitely on that list. Be cautious, be careful. Returning to previous relationships, definitely on that list. Be cautious, be careful. Just because you can manifest something, your life, your soul, your higher self may hinder that because maybe there's something different that actually works with your spiritual evolution. That from 5 years from now, when you're where you're already also manifesting, because you're working on not just the relationship, but your thoughts are creating your tomorrow as far as your living situation, your work situation, your money situation, all these things. And yes, the person you're in love with. But when we get so focused and fixated on one thing, we put our blinders on to everything else. And that is not spiritual living. That is not part of our spiritual path. Spiritual path is opening that up and seeing more. The physical path is very much tunnel vision. And sometimes our evolution is larger than our physical manifestation. And there will be reasons, and in hindsight, you will find them. So again, if this is the case in your life, if you are at a place right now where you're trying to manifest something that isn't in your higher good, or doesn't work with your higher good, or work towards your long-term manifestation goals, maybe you, again, like me, want to get great in YouTube and do stuff like that, right? Like, love to have a channel with thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, or subscribers, better way to put it. I don't like followers. Followers is an ugly word. But lots of subscribers and people that are just stoked with what I'm doing, and I'm just doing what I love doing, and it seems like, like I find a match and we meet in the middle, and cool, I'm delivering something that is loved by more. That's my ideal. That's my dream. So there might be choices that I maybe want to manifest that don't work towards that. That because of things that are going to maybe happen in, say, my specific someone's life. Not that it's not going to work. I don't know. I don't know what the heck's going on, frankly. I know she cares. I know I care. That's what I know. For sure. I know there's absolute love between us. But where her life goes in 5 years and where my life is going to be in 5 years, if those don't work, meaning 5 years from now, when they talk about, we just grew apart, right? So 5 years from now, my significant someone and I are not necessarily going to be in the same places in our life. It's a good idea for us not to get going in this relationship. One, because it might affect me being able to get there. Two, it might affect her being able to get where she's needs to go. Or three, our relationship's totally going to work, like I believe, and it's going to be amazing, and both of us are going to end up in this awesome world that we're both creating. Honestly, that's where I think it's at, but always, and I've said this before, I think it's extremely important to always be willing to accept that maybe it's not meant to be. That doesn't make it not happen. You've already done all this legwork. You've already put all this energy into it. Again, oftentimes, just finding ways to get out of our own way. We are so crazy when it comes to that. All these questions in our head. Sometimes when you truly do let go, the questions really do simmer down or slow down or stop. Because you've let go. If you're like saying, I've let go, but you still got all the mind chatter, you've not let go. That's you haven't. And that's okay. There's no judgment ever. One thing you will probably seldom ever find from me is judgment. If you ask a question and you say, hey, is this a good idea for me? I'll give you my opinion and I'll say something to that effect. But what you're doing is fine, even if I disagree with the path you're going. That's what you're trying to do. That's what you're hoping to manifest. Here, let me give you some advice on how to do that. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. It's not my choice. It's not my judgment to do that. This stuff works for everybody. Excuse me. All you have to do is put the effort forth. But I want to remind people, as I stated in the beginning of this, there really is a couple aspects to us. There is the part of us that learns and grows. And sometimes past relationships need to stay in the past. Sometimes they do. Sometimes things were done that were meant to change you, transform you, teach you aspects that you didn't know already. Great example, abusive relationships. They're horrible. And there's nothing good per se about an abusive relationship, but anyone that's gone through it and chosen to get through it and gotten to the other side has learned valuable lessons, things they will never tolerate from anybody. The level of strength that they gain is immense. Quitting smoking absolutely sucks. Smoking's horrible. It's so unhealthy. Really, really unhealthy. Stopping smoking was one of the most powerful, profound things I ever did in my life. One of the hardest things I've probably ever done in my life. And because of that, it's made me realize I can do anything. I was able to do that. So again, from bad, most of the time good comes from. Most everything that's truly affected us and made a difference in our life, truly changed us, generally came at a price of some form of pain. Some form of pain. Life lessons, getting angry and dealing with the life. I've still got a knuckle that's not where it belongs because I had a moment where I was angry and I punched a wall. And you know what? The wall won. Yeah. The only place that made a dent was the knuckle. The one knuckle that got shifted. So yay, broke a knuckle, made a teeny tiny little knuckle dent on the wall. Anger is horrible. And I've never, at this point of my life, I have managed to get through my entire life. I'll say it in a positive. I've managed to get through my entire life without physical violence towards others. I've been hit 3 times. That's good times. It's fun to get punched in the face. It's a good experience. But there wasn't a reason at the time to really fight back. It was more of a shock, frankly. It was just like, wow, I was so dumbfounded I got hit. It was just like, what the frick was that? One time it got me a giant goose egg right on my, it was awesome. So awesome. Anyway, I think it broke his hand because he went to punch me and I moved my head down, hit me square in the forehead with his fist, right in the hardest part of my body. Swear to God, it probably broke his hand. I got a goose egg. That was the extent of it. Life presents us lemons sometimes. Just learn to like lemonade. It's delicious, especially when it's hot as hell like it is right now. It is freaking like, I don't know, 100 degrees here in the States, or in California, Southern California for that matter. I want to try to see if I can quickly convert that, but this is no way. So 100 degrees, I don't know, there's 212 degrees boiling, so 212, so 2 degrees, so that's, I don't know, it'd be way too hard to figure it out. Yeah, I can't do it. 100 degrees Fahrenheit. If you guys need to, work that out, but it's a lot in Celsius, right? Anyway. So I think this covers what I wanted to really mention to people. Something that I've been thinking a lot about myself. And it also is another technique in my mind to stop the mind chatter, to let go of that. Seriously, for any of us that have been on the manifestation train for a period of time trying to manifest the same thing, something's at work. There's a larger purpose at work. If you feel it so strongly that you have to keep doing it, all right, okay, fine, get behind that decision, that's great. Understand that your mind chatter is going to be part of what slows you down. So oftentimes, just because you've let go, maybe for a week or two, maybe until you hear from them, let them be the one that gives you the sign. Say, hey, I'm going to let go. I'm not going to do my daily practices in visualizing them until they text me, or until they message me on Facebook, or until they call me on the phone. Who the hell does that anymore, right? Why don't I go ahead and say, until they snail mail me a letter? Handwritten, of course. I don't want them typing it. That'd be ridiculous. But again, an email, whatever. And let them respond to you. Let them say, hey, I was just thinking about you, blah, blah, blah. What trips me out, and I'm going to do a separate show on this, but this is kind of a theory I got going right now, is sometimes I think, this is a theory. It's a theory. I'm giving a hair of it because I think I'm going to get into this in another show, maybe a couple shows. But I've been bouncing this theory around for a while now, and I'm kind of practicing and playing with it right now, the parts, the proof. I'm looking for the proof in the pudding, if you will. But I believe oftentimes, oh, I'm losing my train of thought on it, so maybe now's not a good time. And I'm not trying to tease. Literally just derailed. That's awesome. I can't get it. It's gone. Definitely a future show, and it has to do with our thoughts, and sometimes I've got this, it's toast. Stan Radio style. Yeah, I'm making this stuff up on the fly. That's how it goes. I could edit it. I'm going to leave that in there because, frankly, that's how this played out, man. A future show, I will get into it, and I know, and this is probably a great example. This is a perfect example, by the way. The reason I don't remember it is because my thoughts are not formed sufficiently. I'm probably 60% of the way there. And talking about it early would bring about a lot of questions that maybe I'm not prepared to even try to answer because I'm still trying to work out some of the details. So again, it's my higher self looking out for me and saying, whoa, you've given a tease. That's good enough, Dan. The rest of this, we're gonna hold out until the time's right. It's Dan Radio Style. I hope everybody kind of sees these are parts of the way you get through this. I don't question whether law of attraction works. I don't question whether Neville Goddard's imagining process works. I don't question whether what Agnes Vivarelli is talking about is correct. I don't question any of that. It's all correct. It's a focus-based universe. We've proven this to ourselves countless times. If there's a reason why it's taking a long time, that's the question. Not, does this work? Why is this taking a longer time? And looking at that every single day is not going to speed it up either. I just wondering why it's taking so long is not something that speeds up the process. But at some point, we need to look at that, and we need to either step away, understand maybe the answer is no, understand that maybe if I got this right now, it would affect choices I might make, things I might do, people I might meet. If I had a girlfriend right now, would I have been able to go out the other night like I did and just kind of had a great night and there's a lot of things I didn't have to worry about, right? I was hugging up on a bunch of friends of mine, lady friends, nothing inappropriate, but certainly hugging up on a bunch of lady friends. I want my specific someone. She's the one I'd rather go. I'd rather have her been on my arm. Probably wouldn't have happened, but whatever. Again, sometimes there's a reason for this. Would I have as much time to do YouTubes if I was with my significant someone? I've asked that question a lot too. All these things are good to keep in mind, and I have gone way long on this video. Holy crap. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to be going out with another song that I actually had never heard before. It's by Imagine Dragons. I am familiar with them. But the song is called I Bet My Life. I don't know, I thought it was all kind of appropriate for this whole dual path. I mean, the first one is In Love Alone is Worth the Fight. That was the first song, right? And then I Bet My Life. So kind of got a theme going on here. Stan Radio Style. Please contact me if you would like at danradiostyle@gmail.com, and certainly look forward to doing another video. Got one here on the same page. It's not the one I was teasing about, but it is something that's kind of similar. It's kind of these weird musings that I've been having fun with over the past few days. Stan Radio Style.
Remember when I broke you down to tears? I know I took the path that you would never want for me.